Today we are going to look at the Sebo Automatic X4 Pet Eco, which apparently has a dodgy cable and throws on, they said, the check bag light. We need to find out really and see what this very battered, slightly broken because there's no lower cord hook that I can lift all that off with my hands, quite modern Sebo, and see what its problem is really. Yes, hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? I picked this up same time as that Dyson DC50 that we had a look at. They gave me this as well. This is actually the most modern Sebo I've had because it has the boost button. Although for such a modern Sebo it has seen a very hard life. It is utterly scratched, utterly filthy, there is battered all over. Turn it around, look, the lower cord hook has snapped completely off. It is in a very sorry state, poor thing. Now, they said that it kept cutting out, so I think that's the cable. We are going to have a quick plug in and a check and see what it's actually like. Well, it's certainly not cutting out, which is a little bit annoying because I was hoping that would be clear cut and easy. So what we'll do is we'll have the wand off and the hose. If I just adjust the angle up a little bit, we'll take the handle off. That doesn't seem to have been bouncing up and down too much because you would tell because it would all be scratched up, although there is a fair bit of fluff in that connection, but to be honest, nothing that I would really say is a problem really. It's done what they all do, all the Sebos do, which is split its cable protector, but that's quite annoying. I don't want to just go chopping the cable back and it not be that. So I don't think it's the handle. In fact, we'll leave that off because we have something else to do as well, because the bag light is indeed coming on, but it has an empty bag, so I'm not quite sure what it promises. This is a non-genuine bag full of dog hair. The filter is quite appalling, although they do change it apparently. Oh, although, there it goes. I've seen worse. We'll give that a flipping good vacuum off and see anything else. Oh, we do have a date wheel. We have, oh, it's from 2015, so it's 3 years old, and the state of it already. Crikey. Right, let's find some sort of suction to sort this out. We'll get Knackered Henry out. Knackered Henry should be able to clean this filter off a bit. So the filter is a lot cleaner. I'm going to fit one of me pattern style HEPA flow bags just to rule out anything to do with the bag. I'll pop that in there. We'll fit that. He says, chucking the bag in the door. There we go. Let's pop the handle back on. Oh, I'll plug it back in because I unplugged it. Oh. Well, that won't be helping. I know what that is as well, because even Charlie have got one of those. Oh, I'm a bit too close to be nice. Even Charlie have got one of these. There's a Peppa Pig bath time bubble kit. I'll give that back to them. The light was still coming on, so I'm just going to put the hose on properly because the clip fell off for a start. In fact, the clip's broken, so we'll just have to leave that there. And let's just see if it comes back on normally. It is. We still have a check bag light. So that is not blocked up at all under there. We need to dig a little bit further, so let's see what the post motor filter is doing. That is well due for replacement, but I'm not being asked to do that, so we'll give it a clean. And pop it back on. Then we need to flip this upside down, and we're going to clean that off in a minute. Oh gosh, that's not going to be helping matters, is it? What have we got in here? We have a piece of paper and a lot of hair, so I think we shall pull you down, get the screwdriver out and have the base plate off. Here we go. So, I could spend the time pulling everything out by hand, but this is going to be a fair bit easier, especially since I think there's going to be quite a lot of clung on dog hair under here. I can sense it. Ah. Wow, that's why the poor little mite was very much struggling, I think. I do have a credit still to hand. Fantastic. So, I shall pop the bent end onto Henry. And we'll give this a bit of a clean. There is so much crud in there. I can't even get this off. There we go. Shouldn't have to use a screwdriver to do that. Right, we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to scrape all of this off. This should make a lovely refurb, but I don't think they'll pay that for it, so we shall just do the best we can by scraping all of the damp, disgusting mess that we can find off. Now, I mentioned it to you, I think they have cleaned up. This has been used on damp, and it's just built up and built up and built up until it's impeded the airflow. And under here, it's all caked around the pivot point. There we go. Right, let's clean that out. Now we should get our trusty knife out and slice all of this off the brush roll. There we go. Get that all off. Crikey, that's a lot of hair already, and we're not even finished. It's all very wiry as well, which is odd. I'll have to have Henry running for this, because I might be able to suck most of it off. Right, get these screws back in because I think we have fixed the problems. One. Two. Pop the brush roll in, which is a lot better now. 3 years old, this poor thing isn't taking its abuse terribly well, I'll be honest. It looks terrible close up, looks absolutely awful, but hey ho, we are not to judge. Well, we can judge as much as we want because we know what we're doing. Alright, there we go. We'll put the hose back in the wand and then we'll see if the red light comes on. No, I think we have fixed it. This is also my first experience of the Boost model. I've never had one with the Boost before, and to be honest, on that little test bit there, it didn't do too much. However, what I'm now going to do, which will be off camera because I haven't quite got time to film it all, is I'm going to go and vacuum my mother's house with it. I need to see what the heck that cable's doing, really. I can't go and give it back saying, well, it's probably going to be okay, but I can't test it. I need to actually use it properly, give the cable some good old tugs and whatnot, and see if it's any better. So we'll give it a flipping good wipe down, because this poor thing is absolute trash. I'll be honest, it is in a very bad way. This was a very expensive vacuum cleaner when it was new. I think they got it from John Lewis because they were talking about it. Because they were, oh, we like Sebo. Oh, yeah, they're good. We go to John Lewis and get them. Because John Lewis is only at the road from where they were. And they also like them because they're local. Because the Sebo head office is actually just up the road from where I am now in High Wycombe. So there we go. That's a bit cleaner. So I'm going to pop off now and see if I can make it die, basically. And if I can't, I shall just have to caveat when I take it back and say, well, I couldn't make it do it. So I've reseated the handle, because that's always a common thing. If the handle's never been taken off, it goes a bit loose occasionally. Crikey, even rubbish in there. Let's have the brush strip out, so that's where it's all caught. Oh, blimey. There we go. That is good enough. The suction is much better now. This is, I think, one of the lower wattage models. No, it's 1100 watts still. So this is just pre-EU 2015. This would have been one of the last. Right, I shall be back shortly once I've given it a good test. We've given it a good wipe down now. I'll give it a good test and I'll see what we can find. Well, that didn't take long. I was happily playing with the boost function on the hallway when I was putting it on. I found the cable break. Fantastic. So let us do a very quick how to shorten the cable, which is an incredibly simple job, really. There is one screw on the handle there. You undo that, obviously checking it's all unplugged first. Have I checked it's all unplugged first? Yes, because here is the plug. So that is fine. So undo this screw here, and then the handle partly pulls out of there. Then you pull the back out, like, wow, Jesus, look at that. And the brake, in fact, I can feel it in the cable, it's there. It's just ever so slightly lumpy. So we need to undo this cable clamp. Now note how the cable goes behind the clamp and then the wires come up, because that will be important in a minute. So I'll undo this clamp here. I've always got this with Sebos, because I've refurbished and sold loads. They always get fluff up in the handle and I've no idea why at all. There we go. And we'll take the clamp off because we won't need that yet. Then you simply, to get on the switch is held on with two screw terminals. So ever so simple, because obviously these are commercial cleaners, they've kept the ability to really easily swap the cable. Now we find some snippety snips, and I always cut it back quite far because, you know, to make absolutely sure that you'll chop the damaged section out. Then we need to, using the bit that you just cut off, to measure, and you have to be quite accurate with this because it all bunches up. in a certain way, and obviously still make sure that the cable is still going through the handle, because that's hilariously good fun when you put it all back together and then find the handle and you've got to take it all apart again to feed the cable back through. So we'll cut the sheathing off, either using a pair of wire strippers or just breathe the knife onto the outer sheath until it chops through, and you can pull it off. It's good, isn't it? Strip down the ends of the wires and then twist them together. Like so. Now this bit's always a little bit fun, because you have to sort of try and remember how the cable was while still doing it right. So basically, push the cable over the grip part and then put the clamp back down. It's the easiest way I've ever found to do it, because it A, holds the cable in place, and B, allows you to line everything up. I've caught a bit of fluff, it's just gone twisting itself very neatly under that screw, so that makes it look a lot tidier. And then it's a very simple job of pushing the wires back into the clamp, and then blue to blue, brown to brown. Just twist the end of the wire together. And screw it into the terminal, really. It really is all there is to it, although it's a bit fiddly because you've got to try and get the wire back on itself. You could do all this before you fit the cable, but it does then have a habit of falling apart on you just when you don't want it to. So I always, you know, if I'm just doing it, if I've got the whole thing apart for a refurb, then yeah, I'll do it that way. But if I'm just doing a cable repair job, it's just worth the extra little bit of fiddle to not have to really worry about everything falling apart. And I've noticed I'm using the same big screwdriver for the screw heads, because that's absolutely fine. There we go. Tuck the wires back through and in, and then you can feed this bit back up the cable. Come on, feed. Put the end in first. And provided that you've lined everything up properly, it will close up and then push back into the outer handle, where you can then replace the screw that we took out. Which isn't lining up. Come on, why are you not lining up? There we go. There you go. Because it's a machining screw, you've got to be really, you've got to get the thread lined up first. And there we go. That can now, hello, go back into the machine, do up the tab, plug it back in. We should be good to go. Let's give it a quick test. works fine. I think I've also worked out the simple way of how the boost button works. It basically rams it right down to the floor, then leaves it and cuts off any adjustment from the computer, because it went up when I reclined it, when I stood it up, because it's a switch that would override that, but just tilting it up off the floor normally. But let me show you what it does without the boost on. So if we do this with the boost off, watch the up light when I tilt the machine. Let's just let it settle. Down light, not the up light, but it went down even further because it thought it could. With the boost, these lights don't do anything. Right down. Made the check brush come on because I lifted it off the floor, but there we go. So we have fixed and unblocked this little Sebo, and it's all working fine now. I'm going to carry on playing with it, but as far as this video is concerned, this is over. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been helpful to some people, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.